someone wrote in and said, how do you go about finding out what your specific needs are when you feel ashamed for needing things at all from anybody else? For an example, I don't feel comfortable with asking for a glass of water while visiting a friend, much less asking someone to listen to me or help me feel affirmed or supported with affection. What can I do? I'm here with Reed Mahalka from readaboutsex.com.
And that voice you just heard was Cathy of theintimacydojo.com.
Yeah, so, I mean, I really appreciate you writing in and asking that. It's a really vulnerable question. And I worked with a lot of people that don't know what they want. And for many of us, we were taught as children to shut down. Like, my mom would often, just because she was overwhelmed, I'd say, I'm hungry. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm tired. No, you're not. I was really confused. I was like, okay, guess I'm not, but I don't know what this is then. And if people didn't have room for you to have your needs and wants when you were little, that could be really hard. And I encourage people to start with really simple things and discovering, like, one book I read actually, and I've used this with clients too, is like, how do you like your eggs? And a lot of people don't know. It's like, I ate them the way my partner always eats them. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, try them a couple different ways and see which ones you like. So that's one way. You're just starting with little things to see what your actual desires are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would start with, when you do these things, do these practices, do them alone. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you like? Or, for me, it's always been easier to start with what don't I like, as a foot in the door towards what I would like. Mm-hmm. And also give yourself some slack, because, like, I teach this kind of stuff for a living, and I often don't know what I want, or when I do, don't always ask for it. Yeah. And so, like, being kinder to yourself. And then my other thing that I do that is not for everybody. Some people have, told me that this is a black belt move, and I'm like, well, I don't know the white belt version of this. Is start sharing with the people around you, the people close to you, what you're struggling with. Like, you're like, I feel embarrassed asking for a glass of water. And when I played detective, I realized, like, I feel embarrassed asking for anything. And then when I played detective more, like, I realized part of it is I don't even know what I want, because I was never given the opportunity to figure that out as a kid. And that can feel like a huge vulnerable share. Be aware that you might get the vulnerability hangover after. But starting to put words to those things is huge. And then, like, the people around you are like, you give them permission to share the stuff for themselves as well.
Yeah.
And if you can't find words yet, write these things down.
Yeah.
And then practice reading them to yourself. You don't have to do it to a mirror. Just read the page that you wrote. Then practice saying it to yourself in a mirror and pretend it's another person. And then, pretend it's
I practiced with my cat for a while because she was not offended. She's like, whatever.
And, and then eventually, graduate to sharing it with a friend or a therapist, if you can afford a therapist.
Yeah, I found it somewhat easier for some of my clients when asking for something I actually need feels very vulnerable sometimes, and for some of my clients, they just couldn't do that. But asking a friend to help them practice the concept of asking for things, where it's like it's kind of a game or a practice. Could be for half an hour, I'm going to try to ask for something every 5 minutes. Can you ask for something too? We're going to practice back and forth. Mm-hmm. Can seem a little less deep and intense, because if you ask for something you really need and you haven't asked for a long time and someone says no, which they're definitely people are allowed to say no, it can feel the rejection can feel really intense.
Yeah. And understand that most of this stuff, a lot of it, maybe not you, but maybe your friend who's not watching this video, so share this video with them. A lot of this stuff is like, brings us immediately back to whatever fucked up thing or state we got shut down in, usually when we were kids. For some of us who lucked out, somehow you got to puberty and then it happened. And for like a super lucky person, maybe it was your first relationship or when you were in your 20s. But for me, like 5 to 9 years old is when all the shitty stuff happened. And so when I start doing this kind of work, like, I feel like I'm 5 again. Mm. Just realize if that's happening for you, like, that's good. Like, that means it's working.
Yeah.
Because you're getting transported back to those times when when your growth got stunted in a certain way. And then when you start to do these practices, you're doing them with your 5-year-old, your inner 6-year-old, for me, my inner 9-year-old. And then you kind of hold hands and walk forward together and make progress. And then all of a sudden, you're the friend who knows how to ask for stuff, and all your other friends are struggling with their 6-year-old and their 7-year-old.
Yeah, and if you want support, I don't know where you live, but there's a lot of meetups out there. Look for anything on boundaries. Cuddle parties are amazing because it's actually a place to practice using your voice with people that are really safe, and you get to change your mind, and you get to explore what you actually like. That would be a really powerful way to move forward. But if that's, being able to ask for what you need and want, and say, can I have a hug? Can I have some? Could you, the appreciation game? We have a video on that here on this channel. If you search for appreciation game, those are different ways to play this and practice it. And it's like a muscle. It's going to be a little hard at first. That doesn't mean you're bad at this. That doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you haven't used those muscles, and you're just going to build up over time.
So take your inner child to the gym of asking and start pumping up. Wow. You can do it. Wow. Leave your comments. Hit subscribe. Hit it hard.